And welcome to the Melbourne Catholic website. And Shane Healy here, the Director of Media and Communications. Now, I'm with Father Brendan Lane, and Father Brendan is finishing very soon as the rector here at Corpus Christi College. It may not look too grand on the video because we're in one of the beautiful rooms, but Father Brendan, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to have a good chat. And on this section, I want to talk to you about your time here at Corpus Christi. 7.5 great years. You finish at the end of calendar year 2016. But I would urge everyone watching now over the next few minutes to also get the next copy of the Melbourne Catholic magazine, because in the magazine we'll have even a more full and hearty chat to Father Brendan about his life as a parish priest, his time in Zambia. So it really will make for a really interesting read. So don't forget your next issue of the Melbourne Catholic magazine. But for now, here on the video, let's chat about your time here in the seminary. Tell us about how you came to be asked to take over as rector.
Well, that's a bit of a mystery. Bishop Tomlinson came out. We'd been in the seminary together and asked me to come here. I'm a parish priest, and but I've had seminarians over the years, and I think that we've got on fairly well. So they were looking for a rector, and so I eventually, after a bit of thought, said yes to it. Yeah.
Excited by the thought? Challenged? Motivated? What are the words that would describe your early feelings?
My early feelings are one of dread. I usually, when I'm going to a new challenge, I dread it until I get into it, and then I enjoy it. Yeah, so until I get a comfortable there, I can be unsure, and it takes a while, you know, to feel at home and confident. Yeah. It
was lovely hearing the Archbishop talk about your time and talk about you, and someone very much a prayerful person, but also someone who's able to get the best out of people. And so I guess there are dimensions to you that maybe not everyone gets to see. How would you describe the real Father Brendan Lane at the end now of this 7.5 years?
Well, I've been trying to hide that for 7.5 years. I have a brother who lives nearby, and the seminarians like to meet him. He's an expert in the art world, but they're not interested in art. They want to find things about me. However, look, I try to encourage people. If I can, I try to find the best in people. That's what makes this job hard, is that we have to make judgments on people. And,
are they suited for the priesthood? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, suitable for the priesthood. And I'd like to get them all through, but we have to be hard-headed at times and say, no, look, this is not for you. And,
sure.
And you know, you're a bit like a football coach. You're trying to get these young fellows to get confidence, to be the best they can, and all they've got to offer to God is themselves, really. So we try to help them to discover more about themselves and to contribute, and then to find the qualities needed for a good parish priest.
Well, what a wonderful gift that simply is, as you just described it.
Yeah.
All they've got is themselves, but we see these people grow and develop and end up, many of them, as wonderful priests in parishes or going off to study or whatever. Can you think of perhaps some examples, without even naming names, of people you've seen that you were maybe a little bit doubtful on, and then you've seen them blossom and grow, and that must just be a wonderful experience to watch that development?
Well, it is. You see what they come in as, you know, and the Bishop of Sale, he's talking about 2 students who've just come in this year. One's from Zimbabwe, another one from India, and he couldn't believe that in 6 months the change in them, the growth in confidence. And one's actually called Confidence, that's his name. That we expect some change, some growth. Sometimes they've got to leave a way of life. You know, one fellow came in, he was a binge drinker, you know, and he said, that's the culture I've been in. But there has to be a change, and sometimes there's a massive conversion for some of them. You know, God has almost intervened in their lives.
Yes.
And and they've changed their ways and they want to serve the Lord. So it's an interesting time, you know, that they're coming from all different backgrounds, and we're getting some wonderful young men coming here. Yeah.
It's been, your 7.5 years quite specifically, has been a really tough time for the Catholic Church all over the world. Here in Melbourne and down in Ballarat, classically difficult with all the sexual abuse scandal that has continued to plague the church. Yet interestingly, the seminary has not only kept its head above water in that period, it's actually blossomed. How do you work that out? That's an interesting one.
Well, I always say the more bad publicity we get, the more seminarians we get. It's a contradiction. It's death, resurrection stuff, which is the basis of our faith. It's a mystery why it should happen, but I think sometimes another meaning of the Royal Commission and all that is that they've helped the church to clean out a mess that was there. There was a criminal element in there, and we always have human weakness, but we can't have that sort of thing going on. And so people can be confident the church is a safe place, you know, and that the seminary is a safe place for young people to come to today. Yeah.
So if I'm a seminarian now and I'm near the end of my, is it 7 years?
7 years.
7 years. Yeah. What would do you think, or what would you like me as the seminarian to be saying about Father Brendan Lane and Corpus Christi as an organisation and a person that has developed the seminarian's life? What would you hope they might say?
Well, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship because they're challenged to change. Now, we don't like changing, and my interaction with seminarians varies from one to another, and sometimes we've got to be quite firm. Our expectations are very clear, what we expect of these students. Some don't live up to that initially, and they've got to develop. And others get streetwise and they know their way around, and then they start having trouble because they're a bit smart. So there's as you encourage the good, you've also got to correct. So I think when I see people praising seminarians, I hold my breath a bit, because I know we're a mixture, all of us, you know, and our job is to know them and help them to know themselves and to love the good and look past the bad, or can we live with their faults to get the good things that are in them. So what I'd hope is that say, look, they're like a father, you know. I'd be like a father to them, and some of them have had absent fathers and that sort of thing. Right. So they're working things out on me a bit that they didn't work out on their own father. So it's a whole lot of feelings or attitudes that I would expect in them, you know. But they know I'm there for them. Sure. Just as you're there for your own children. You know,
understand. Yeah. Beautifully put, by the way, as well. So 7.5 years, how many have actually gone through and become priests in your time?
Well, there's been 45 go through in that time, 45 ordained. Some I came in and ordained, some were ordained very soon after I came here. Yes. Others have been here for the whole time. Others I've had years with who will be ordained after I leave. So, but in my time here, there's been 45.
And how are the numbers looking as we look ahead to the new Dennis Stanley era?
Well, we've just built 8 more rooms. Now we've got to fill them, of course. But we had a big group leave last year. We had 11 ordained last year. And so our numbers went down because that was more going out than coming in.
Understand.
But there's smaller numbers this year and next year. So we'll go up, I think, to about 55, and then after in the following year around 60 mark there. So
and what's a number that is if you like, the number you'd like to be reaching?
Well, I think about 65
Right.
to 68.
So you're very close to that.
Yeah, we're getting close to that. Yeah, we've got 4 rooms that we have as a guest house because we've got students from interstate and overseas. We like to have a place for their relatives to stay. We get a lot of priests come and stay with us, so we want to keep those 4 rooms if we can without using them. And so it's it'd be about 65. I think would be the maximum, yeah.
So Father Brendan Lane has been rector here at the Corpus Christi Seminary here in Carlton in Melbourne. He finishes at the end of the year. As the Archbishop put it to me and to a lot of people, he really has been a truly wonderful leader, and we will be talking further to Father Brendan, and you can read about all of that in the next edition of the Melbourne Catholic Magazine. But for this part of our chat, Father Brendan, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.